Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very pleased that the Senate's finally voting on the fiscal year 2022 Defense Authorization Bill. This is the most significant bill of the year. There's an old document that nobody reads anymore. It's called the Constitution. It kind of tells us what we're supposed to be doing around here, and sometimes we forget. And we're talking about national defense. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's why Congress has passed a defense authorization bill for the last 60 years. This will be the 61st year in a row, and it will pass. It's going to pass in about another half hour from now. And it's going to pass because it has passed in the past, and everyone realizes this is the most important thing that we do here. A lot of people don't say that, but it's true. And every year we come together, the House and the Senate and the Republicans, the Democrats, and put our differences aside, build this bill together and show our service members that we really support them. And I think that's so important. All we have to do is argue about this bill. And what we're doing is reflecting on the people who are out there on the line, out there that are making the sacrifice, losing their lives in many cases. It's important that they know that this is the most important thing we do, and that's exactly what we did this year. It looked a little different this year because the Senate didn't take up the bill until after Veterans Day. Now, and I was critical of Senator Chuck Schumer because we filed our bill. Senator Reid and I filed this in September the 22nd, and we didn't take it up until November 17th. That's 2 months that was wasted that we could have used and used very productively, and we don't need to do that. We can't let that happen again. It's the most important bill that we do all year, and it shouldn't be left to the last minute. And that's especially the case right now because we face threats that, like we've never before in my lifetime, faced. We have China and Russia. They're growing and modernizing their militaries at a rate that we've never seen before. They're using their new technology to menace their neighbors. We're seeing Russia build up forces on the Ukraine border, most likely intended to be used for them to attack. We feel that that's what is happening now, and we've seen evidence that China is testing hypersonic missiles technology that we don't even have. We don't have hypersonic missile technology like the Chinese have. You know, and those of us have studied what happened in World War II, and we swore that we weren't going to let this happen. And for a long period of time, we had the best of everything. One area where America should have the best of everything, we didn't have the best of everything. So we've seen threats, or seeing threats now that we haven't seen before. And yes, the Ukrainian border, we know what's happening there. We know that 100,000 people are ready to go in. The Russians are there. And now we've seen China use things that we didn't, that we don't even have today. And at the same time, following a disastrous withdrawal, the terrorist organizations are resurging in Afghanistan. I think we all remember in Afghanistan what happened. The president went in and we had a withdrawal when we shouldn't have had a withdrawal. And our allies and partners are questioning our credibility and commitment because of that debacle. Iran continues to expand its nuclear program, and North Korea continues its own provocations. In short, we have no shortages of challenges to our security and our military supremacy. The security situation with both China and Russia has gotten far worse since the Armed Services Committee first advanced this bill back in July. It's gotten worse every few days, certainly every week, each week. I can't think of a more necessary bill to pass right now, as we're going to do in another short period of minutes. And then this defense authorization bill. It's the most important bill that we have. I worked together with Chairman Reid, Senator Reid, Chairman Smith, Ranking Member Rogers, and the Armed Services Committee in both chambers to build a bill that will help us respond to all of these threats, and we work together. We work together in the committee and for a long time. You know, people think, well, this is only something that we're doing, or in those of us who are in the positions to be providing the leadership in our military, that we do once a year. But I can tell you right now that after we do this, which I think we'll get passed today, and it'll be signed, we'll start again on next year already. Our final product is a responsible bipartisan path forward that strengthens national security and gives our troops the resources, training, and equipment and the benefits that they deserve. Now, we're talking about our troops. They need to, we don't want them to have close fights out there. We don't want them to have equipment that isn't the best equipment. I'm afraid we're in a situation right now where that is the case. The first and most important way to do that is by boosting the defense top line by $25 billion. That's what we did. That's the very first thing that we did, was to bring that up to something where it is $25 billion over President Biden's request. And I know the defense isn't Biden's top priority, but we showed it is a bipartisan priority in this Congress. In fact, it was the 2018 NDS. This is the NDS. This is the National Defense System. This is in 2018. And we had 6 of the smartest Democrats in this field, 6 of the smartest Republicans. We got together and put together this thing called the Providing for the National Defense. This was the Defense Strategy Commission. It's one that we've been following since that time, and it shows that we can get things done. It's one that we refer to. This is our pattern. And it's a budget cut like the president wanted isn't going to get us there. In total, this bill authorizes almost $778 billion for the Department of Defense and for nuclear programs at the Department of Energy. This increase supports many of the military's unfunded priorities, things they need that President Biden's inadequate budget couldn't meet, plus things Congress agrees the department must fund in critical areas. We provided a 35% increase above the president's budget for military construction, the largest MILCON that we've had in over 10 years. We also provided $4.7 billion increase for shipbuilding, allowing our military to purchase 5 new battle force ships, which will be key in our priority theater and in Indo-Pacific. And I think we know what the Chinese have been doing with their ship program. We bolstered support to key areas like Taiwan and Ukraine. This year's NDAA actually increases funding for the Ukrainian Security Assistance Initiative by $50 million, giving Ukraine some $300 million in defense, which is also in our defense too. And it's the bill includes strong bipartisan support for our nuclear deterrent, which is the cornerstone of our national security. We fully fund the nuclear modernization, which is a top priority for our military, and solidify support for a key leg of our nuclear triad. Our triad system is one that we've adhered to, and it's something that is working, and this actually supports a key leg of that nuclear triad, which is the ground-based strategic deterrent. The bill works at every turn to maintain our military supremacy, and in some areas to spur us to catch up in other areas we've fallen behind. We have fallen behind China and Russia in certain areas, and we don't like that. And this is what we're trying to correct at the current time. One area where we do that is in cybersecurity. You know, we have people, not just experts on the outside. We have, there's one of the members of our Senate committee, our Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Mike Rounds probably knows more about cybersecurity than any one of the advisors that are out there. The bill creates a whole-of-government approach, the public-private partnership to detect and disrupt our adversaries' cyber operations. We also accelerate innovation in key emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, hypersonic weapons, quantum computing, 5G. We're doing these things. We're just not doing it as fast as we should, and this is one of the reasons that we're going to pass the most important bill of the year in just a few minutes. Our bill takes numerous steps to harden our industrial base and remove Russia and China from our national security supply chain. Of course, our top priority this year and any year is our troops and brave men and women who volunteer to lay down their lives in line for our country. This year's bill gives them a well-deserved pay raise, improved health. And by the way, these are things people who sometimes talk about the fact that we are spending so money. How many times I've heard people say, well, we spend more on defense than China and Russia together. Well, that's true, but we do something that China and Russia don't do. The most expensive item that we have is taking care of our troops, making sure that the kids of our troops have schools to go to, that are good schools, that we have good housing. They don't care about things like that, but we do. And we spend more on the military, and people try to use that against us. Well, our people are first, and we're the only country who believes that. It prevents service members from being dishonorably discharged for refusing coronavirus vaccine. This is something that we changed a system that otherwise would have offered a dishonorable discharge. And it's in this bill. So it's a good bill. You say, you know, it's not perfect, no bill is perfect, and there's some things I would have had in this bill, and then I'm sure that Senator Reid would have had in this bill that didn't make it. Before we close, I do want to thank the good people who worked so hard on this bill on the floor. People don't realize that. You know, you go back to the real world and you talk to real people, as I do when I go back to Oklahoma, and they point out that they don't believe that people are really working, but in the case of the military, they are. I just have to say that the hours that they work, I had occasion to talk to a group about John Wasson. John Wasson is the minority staff director, about the number of hours that he works and that his team works. And I'm going to read the names of this team. I know that Senator Reid is going to be reading the names of the majority on the team. But I think it's important that people understand that we have a committee staff that works hard. And we're very thankful for the people who provide all that effort. On his team, John Wasson has Rick Berger, Tom Goffis, Scott Richardson, Greg Lilly, Marta Hernandez, Jenny Wright, Adam Barker, Alan Edwards, Katie Magnus, Sean O'Keefe, Brad Patu, Jason Potter, Brad Slattery, Katie Sutton, Eric Traeger, Adam Truill, T.C. Williams, Robert Winkler, and Andy Caputo. From my staff, I had Luke Holland, Dan Hillenbrand, Don Archer, Dan Holden, Sam Tritza, Esther Salters, Jake Johnson, Jake Hinch, Alexandra Slocum, Victor Salmiendo, Dixon Yonan, Lacey Burke. What would it do without Lacey Burke? Lori Fitch and Naomi Walker. And sometimes we forget about the hardworking staff, the floor staff. Nobody ever mentions them. We have a lot of the same people that have been there for a number of years, and we couldn't operate without them, and they were really busy on this bill. And that's Robert Duncan, Chris Tuck, Tony Hannigan, Catherine Foster, Brian Canfield, Max Boyd, and Maddie Sanborn. I'm grateful for all of their services, and Don't forget, this is only half the battle. After this, we have to go through, and after we have made the priorities that we have made, the appropriators will get busy and do what they had done to be a part of this effort that is the most significant effort that we're having. So today, I encourage all of my colleagues to support this year's National Defense Authorization Bill, and I know they will, and extend our 60-year track record of getting this bill done. And let's tell the troops that we love them and we support them. With that, I'll yield to Chairman Jack Reed.